Alright, so the next thing we got going on is a 2-inch lift for this. These are so easy, there's no reason for you to have to farm these out. The parts are cheap, and the procedure is really simple. It's something that can be done in your driveway with normal hand tools, no problems at all. First thing you're going to need is a set of lift pucks. These are really cheap. I think I picked these up for $35. They're 2 inches per side. From there, it gets a little more complicated. There's a few things you have to do to get the coil springs out and get these spacers in. I'm going to walk you through that right now. First thing that goes, you want to do it in this order too. The first thing you want to pull is going to be the shocks. Once those are loose and hanging free, then life gets really simple. The other thing you're going to want to pull are the sway bar disconnects. Now, this one has quick disconnects, but the thought remains. You're still going to have to disconnect your sway bars. The whole idea is to get the axle to articulate down as far as possible. The last thing you need to pull is your track bar. It's a 15mm bolt, and it's a self-captured nut on the back. Once you get all those parts off, the axle droop on that is really, really far down. You'll be able to see. Use a regular floor jack to force articulate the offside up. Once you've got everything set up like that, it's really simple to reach in here, grab that coil spring, and just pull it right out. Now, the next thing you need to do, this little guy here, this is your rubber bump stop. Once you put 2 inches of lift on here, that's useless. So go ahead, pull that off, just a regular pipe wrench, throw it in the garbage. You're not going to need it anymore. But you will want this rubber isolator. This keeps a lot of noise from entering the cabin. So take this off. Notice it is chamfered on the inside. Go ahead and set that to the side. Take your 2-inch lift puck. You'll notice there's a slice cut out of the back of them. Well, that slice is so that it'll fit up tight against the body without rubbing. Put your 2-inch puck on. Follow it up with the rubber puck. Reassemble. Go to the offside and do the same thing all over again. Folks, this is really simple, really easy. It gets you 2 inches of altitude. Last thing to mention here is the shocks for these Cherokees are rated from 0 to 3 inches. You can get away with the stock shocks for quite a while, especially if you have a hard-mounted sway bar. Once you mount that back up, you're not going to get enough articulation to worry about bottoming out the shocks or breaking off your brake lines. You can get quite a bit of flex before you have to go away from stock. So that's it for today. We'll get this lift put on and get it settled back down on its own tires. The rear lift is, I'm not even going to bother to explain the rear lift. Go buy some 2-inch extended shackles, pull the shackle bolts, and then once you've got those shackle bolts off, go ahead and reinstall the 2-inch lift shackles and you're in like Flint. One thing to mention about the shackle bolts, make sure you have an extra set of shackle bushings laying around, because half the time what happens is the bolt sits inside of a steel sleeve, and after they've had a lot of miles on them, they tend to weld themselves together. You'll never get them apart. You can rattle on them, they'll just spin and laugh at you. The rubber will break loose and it'll just spin and spin and spin. Get yourself a drill out as much of that crap as you can. You may need to buy another set of shackle bolts. Your closest Ace Hardware is going to have them. It's a really common size. Get yourself a set of shackle bolts, have a set of shackle bushings standing by if you're going to do it over the weekend. Definitely something you don't want to have stalling your project. Other than that, you throw on 2-inch lift shackles in like Flynn, and once again, you don't have to change your shocks if you don't want to. This one, I am going to go ahead and change the shocks. I've had really good luck with these. I've done all of them. I've done Pro Comp and Rancho and a bunch of other brand names, but the plain old basic, oh crap, I forget the name all of a sudden. These are Monroes, I'm sorry. Just Monroes. What they are is they're a rebadged Gabriel shock. They'll do you just fine. You know, if you're not building these things to race in the desert, you might as well go ahead with a good capable shock. Most Pro Comps, most Ranchos, most Skyjacker shocks are just rebadged Gabriels anyway. They have the correct valving. They're a lot more softer, a softer ride, especially for you and your folks if you're driving a 4-door. And they're not terribly expensive. I think these set me back about $25 a piece. Not bad at all. So that's what's going on today. Tomorrow I'll explain to you a couple other things like relocating this. This little nightmare You have to use this. As much as you want to delete it, it used to live under the front bumper, and if you replace your front bumper, you'll find out if you disconnect it, none of your heater controls work, your idle goes to hell. You got to find a place to remount this. I'll show you the trick and easy way to do that. And then on the back end of that, the next fix we have is fuel tank O-ring around the sending unit. So until we're done here, we'll get a picture set up for you and see you then.